All right, welcome to the Batmandrew podcast, the podcast that nobody asked for. In this podcast, we cover your love of video games, movies, television shows, and really anything that sparks your love and your fandom. Just all from the perspective of an everyday dude like me. So, thank you for joining me today. And how about we dive right on into today's episode's campaign? In the world of Magic the Gathering, we have the Universes Beyond collabs, which has sparked a lot of controversy with a lot of old school Magic the Gathering fans. Me personally, it was because of Universes Beyond is the reason why I got into Magic the Gathering with the Final Fantasy sets. And honestly, I like the Universes Beyond. I appreciate it, but I also appreciate like what came before it and what Magic continues to do in universe, right? But in the world of Universes Beyond, we have the newest collab announced at New York Comic Con, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And to be honest, I'm extremely hyped for this. So I grew up a Ninja Turtle fan. Like I grew up loving the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember going to the movie theater as a kid to go see the movie, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie. The cartoons were obviously iconic and really big for me as a kid, like growing up. So like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles it's integrated in my life and my culture. My kid loves it. I love it. And I'm excited for it to come to Magic the Gathering. So these release on March the 6th of 2026. And there was a lot of information that dropped in regards to the collab from New York Comic Con. I'm not going to delve into the entirety of like all of the cards and the mechanics and all that kind of stuff. But we are going to talk about a couple of things that really sparked my interest. So the first one is the Commander deck. Now I was pretty disappointed that there was not a Commander deck that dropped for Spider-Man because, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan as well. You can see I have Spider-Man tattooed on my forearm. I love Spider-Man. So I was really excited for the Universes Beyond collab for them. And I know that has been a little bit of a bust for a majority of fans, but for me, I can still love and appreciate the cards. I love the artwork behind it. And I think that in that vein of just the artwork and everything, I think that we're going to get some incredible cards from the Ninja Turtle collab. But the Commander deck, I'm excited for, specifically because it's an all-color deck. I think it's going to be pretty unique. I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to give us a lot of that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle flavor. So I'm super excited for that. But going back to the artwork, the classic artwork from some of the, not only the old Ninja Turtle, cartoons, but the comics, the movies, all that kind of stuff. The fact that we're going to be able to really bring in different variations of the Ninja Turtles and what they've had throughout the years, I think is going to be super cool and iconic. I do think that there's one thing coming that I don't know about. I don't know if I'm really a fan of, and that's the new mechanic of the Turtle team up, introducing like the co-op play for Magic the Gathering. Now, I'm not a Magic the Gathering expert. I'm still learning how to play and how to basically just learn the basic mechanics of the game. But I don't really particularly care for the idea of having a turtle team up being introduced in Magic the Gathering. I don't really particularly care for the idea of having kind of a co-op play. But I mean, I guess we'll kind of see how that goes. I'm going to buy all of it because I love the Ninja Turtles, but I don't know how I feel about that. So I think that's the only question mark for me. But also I think, like, how big is this going to be with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collab coming for Magic? Final Fantasy was easily their biggest Universes Beyond collab that they've ever had, and for one, I mean, it got me into playing Magic the Gathering. And I think that if there had been anything else to get me into wanting to play Magic, it would have been the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collab. I think that would have really sparked my interest enough to actually get into oh man, distraction. So I apologize. I'm recording the podcast here, but I did see my live, man. I appreciate the love that I just got in my live. Some of the my day job kind of interacting with my my podcast live here. So very much appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. So when it comes to the Ninja Turtle collab, again, I'm super pumped. How big is this collab going to be? I think that's going to be the real question. But I think that the biggest thing that it has going for it is the same thing Final Fantasy had going for it, and that's the fact that it's ageless, right? Like me as a kid at 38 years old, I remember playing with Ninja Turtles and being in love with Ninja Turtles as a kid. And then my son now at 5 years old has that same kind of love for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I think you're going to have a huge following of people who are going to love not only the Ninja Turtles, but are going to bring them into Magic the Gathering. And I think that that's only a win. Alright, so moving on to our next topic. The Xbox price hike. So, I definitely understand that anytime things get more expensive, we have a tendency as a society to just freak the fuck out. Netflix raises their prices, Disney Plus raises their prices, HBO Max raises their prices. Like we get it. Like, at some point, the price hikes have got to stop. But I do think that in this particular instance, with the Xbox price hike, I think it's a huge overreaction by people. Like, so many people freaked out about the Xbox price hike that they went out and the site crashed with them trying to cancel their Xbox Game Pass memberships. So I really, I want to take a second just to think about this logically, right? Because, for me, my background, I came from a retail background. I was a district manager for several chains of retail stores, and that's my personal life. That's my background. In my professional life, that's my background. And when I think of price increases, most of the time they happen just because of elements that can't be controlled by the company itself. So me working for Lids, for example, anytime that we raised the prices on our hats, typically came because the teams that we were licensing through raised their prices. So we had to raise our prices, right? Because you still got to be able to make money. With this Xbox price hike, I think that that it is, when you look at the value you still get out of the Xbox Game Pass, I think it's a clear overreaction, because when you break it down, you're talking about $30 for a month for the Game Pass Ultimate, right? So that's what I pay right now. I pay $30 a month. So I'm going to stop right there for a second and just say that I'm roughly about halfway through my gameplay of Expedition 33. And I am playing that for free because of my Xbox Game Pass membership. Now, I know that I'm playing it a little bit late. Obviously, it wasn't free. The game wasn't free whenever it first came out. I'm playing it after the fact, but still, at the end of the day, the Xbox Live Game Pass membership is a great value for me alone, just because I'm playing a game for free that I otherwise would have had to spend $60 or $70 to be able to play. But let's break it a little bit further, right? So, according to the internet, right? Internet's always accurate. The average Xbox Game Pass user plays an average of 5.7 games per month. So if you break that down, even if we're just conservative, let's just say 5 games per month. If we're just conservative with that 5 games per month, that's 60 games throughout the course of the year that the average Game Pass holder is playing. Not that they have access to, because there's over 500 games that they actually have access to. But we're talking about them playing actually 60 games per year on average. $6 a game. $6 a game. And if you really want to break it down even further than that, most games take roughly 10, 15, 20, 30... I mean, in the case of Expedition 33, it's going to take me 50 hours of gameplay to get through it. And so when you're breaking down the cost of an Xbox Game Pass versus the cost of just an average game when you go out to purchase it, whether you download it or you purchase it outright, like a GameStop or whatever, the value is so significant for what you get. And so I think it's a clear overreaction for the people wanting to rush out and cancel. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. You've heard my story before if you've listened to my podcast. I came from nothing. Like the fact that I'm able to sit here and talk about $10 is nothing for the increase of the price hike for Xbox. that just means that I busted my ass to get to a place in my life where that $10 wasn't sweating me, right? So I'm not telling you how you should spend your money, but if I'm being honest, if that $10 is a problem for you, you probably shouldn't own an Xbox in the first place. And I'm not trying to be an asshole there. Like, I'm just being real. As a kid, I grew up with no video game system, and the first one that I got stolen from our house literally like a week after we actually got it. Like I didn't grow up with those things, and so because $10 was important to us, right? So when you're looking at the value you get for your Xbox Game Pass membership right now, and looking at, I get it, price hikes suck. Like, I'm not debating that. No one wants to spend more money if they don't have to. It's a clear overreaction. It just really is. Like, it needs to, like Xbox. Let's just face it. Xbox is, they're kind of dying, right? Like, they are clearly, I think they're clearly third in the video game wars, right? When you're talking about PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox. And I think that this is their way of being able to try to continue to make money. There was also rumors with Xbox that they were looking at getting rid of their system altogether, and like just solely going as a subscription-based video game service. And I could see that down the road actually happening with them. But like, let's just be real. Like, and I guess the topic actually stems from the fact that, like, if you saw one of my recent editorial videos on my YouTube channel, GameStop came out and was like trolling Xbox over the price hike, which I thought was comical, because GameStop, like, know your audience. Like, if you're trolling people based off the prices of what you're paying for products, then I think that's pretty silly. But with all that being said, right, I think that Xbox, do your thing. If you've got to raise it up, but honestly, I think the value that you get at $30 is pretty significant, and I don't really see the issue here. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Put in the comments. Let me know. Did the price hike upset you? Did you hate it? Do you mind it? Like, what do you think? Because ultimately, I think at $30 a month, the value and the access of all the video game libraries or video game library that you get with it, I think is unreal. So much so that I don't even own any of the games for my Xbox. Like, I bought my Xbox about a year ago, and I've never bought a game for it. I've always just found something on the Game Pass, and I've played some great titles so far. Again, Expedition 33, which is turning out, I mean, I can see why people were calling it Game of the Year. I've also downloaded Final Fantasy 16, not paying a dime for it. I've also downloaded and played Indiana Jones, the new Indiana Jones games, which was a little bit of a bust for me because I didn't realize it was first person, but whatever. Glad it was this part of the game that I downloaded from my membership and not actually like one that I spent money on, right? So again, I think the value is there. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? All right, let's move on to our next topic, which is Peacemaker Season 2. So I'm going to give you my spoiler-free review of the final episode. So I thought that it was good. I thought that I heard a description of people talking about how the last episode was really just a glorified post-credit scene, and really the season finale was kind of episode 7. And I could see why people had that to say. Like, I could honestly see where that perception comes from. I thought the episode was good. I didn't think it was great. It wasn't like some tremendous, finale that I just am going to rave about. But I thought it was good. I thought it gave us some closure in some of the storylines. I thought it gave us some things to look forward to in a season 3. Wait, there isn't a season 3 coming. James Gunn recently was commented and said that there is no plans at all for a Peacemaker season 3. And honestly, I'm a little bit confused by that, if I'm being 100%. I think that this part is a spoiler, so if you haven't seen the finale at this point, you might want to hold your ears for a second. But Peacemaker Season 3, or Season 2, ends with Peacemaker going into another universe in the multiverse. And, like, there's not another season coming to be able to talk about where he's at and where he's going. And here's the problem with it, I think, is that James Gunn further went on to say his storyline is going to be talked about in future DCU movies, including Man of Tomorrow, which is the next Superman movie to come out. And I hate this. I hate it. I hate it with a passion, because when Marvel started to derail, and don't get me wrong, like, Marvel's not like in the dumps. I think we all still love Marvel movies. We all love going to Marvel movies. But where it really started to kind of get shaky for I think a lot of us fans was when they required us to have to watch their television shows in order to be able to caught up with what was going on in the movies. So you looked at like WandaVision, for example. WandaVision, fantastic show. Best show that Marvel had put out by far is WandaVision. I think it's a fantastic show. If you didn't see WandaVision, you were confused as fuck when you saw Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Like, how did all of a sudden Scarlet Witch become this bad guy? She has children? What is this? Like, you didn't understand the plot points of one of your own movies because you didn't take time to watch their television show. And I think we're only going to see that even further when we get to Avengers Doomsday, because I think Loki's going to play a big part in what happens in Avengers Doomsday and how the multiverse comes together, because now he's the god of stories, right? If you've seen the Loki seasons, you know where his story arc left off. But you know who hasn't seen the Loki seasons? My in-laws, who go with us to every Marvel movie and every Marvel movie release. Like, the fact that Marvel started making us have to know what was going on in their television shows in order to be caught up in their movies, I think ultimately left a sour taste in people's mouth that they're still trying to recover from now. I think that DCU is trying to make the same mistake, and I hate it, because at the end of Peacemaker Season 2, again, spoiler, Chris is left in the multiverse in a completely different universe that Rick Flag is trying to test to see if it is inhabited by, or could be inhabited by metas, right? To get rid of metas out of their own universe, which is great. I'm all for that story plot if there was a season 3 of Peacemaker coming, but there's not. And I think that's silly. Like, why would you tie everything, like, Peacemaker has been their most successful show, DC's most successful show that they've had. You know, and you can debate whether or not it's better than the Penguin, because I really love the Penguin, but it is, you know, one of their most successful television shows that they've ever had. And I am genuinely concerned that if you don't watch Peacemaker, you're going to miss out on certain plot points that you would get with you know, the next DCU movie. And what I'm really really worried about the most is that Chris is in the universe that the Lanterns are in. I'm stupid excited for the Lantern show coming. I think that this kind of buddy cop type feel, True Detective vibe, like more gritty, down to earth, you know, kind of feel for Lanterns, I think is going to be phenomenal. I'm really excited for it. I'm really concerned that we are 3 projects into the DCU and we're already attacking the multiverse. I think it's a huge mistake. And honestly, I think I think it's going to ruin DCU and the storylines that they're going to. I think it's going to ruin them for a lot of people, you know, before we even kind of have a chance to get started. All right, let's move on to our next topic. So let's talk about Chad Powers. I never thought in my entire world or existence that I would be talking about Chad Powers on my podcast. I really honestly had no clue whatsoever. And excuse me as I say hi to people in the chat. Thank you guys for all the likes, and I appreciate all the love that I'm getting in the live chat as I'm doing this podcast. So definitely plug for the podcast on YouTube. Follow me on TikTok. Much love. I appreciate it, guys. So Chad Powers. I will tell you this. Eli Manning did 2 great things. He became Tom Brady's kryptonite, and ruined what would have been the most insufferable undefeated season by any team in the NFL of all time. And he brought us Chad Powers. So So Chad Powers, if you don't know what Chad Powers is, first of all, there's a show right now on Hulu of the Chad Powers character. Basically, what it is, it's a washed up quarterback, collegiate quarterback, who walks on to a program and earns the starting job at a program at the university that he's at. So it was a prank that Eli Manning did at I believe it was Ole Miss, to be able to kind of mess with some people and stuff like that, right? Because the idea was this NFL caliber quarterback coming in, just looking like a dope, but ultimately like schooling all these college kids, right? So they decided to make a Hulu series out of this, and I can't tell you, the harshness that I rolled my eyes when I first saw this was unreal. It just looked dumb, right? But when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, it has Glen Powell in it. Okay, it has Steve Zahn. It has Perry Matfield, which if you don't know who she is, she plays Ricky on the show. She was the star of another show on Netflix called In the Dark, where she played a blind individual in that show, and she did it so well that I honestly thought she was really blind. Like, whenever I saw her in Chad Powers, I googled if she was actually really blind. So I was like, okay, the cast looks pretty good. I was traveling, I was in Wichita for work, so I was like, all right, fine, I'll check it out. Let's see this. Chad Powers. Watched the first episode, thought it was the dumbest shit I've ever seen. It was literally, it was so incredibly stupid. And the way that they have Glen Powell portraying Chad Powers, I was like, this is going to get annoying quick. So I said, you know what? I have nothing else to do. I'm playing my Switch. Let me just watch episode 2. Episode 2 was a little bit better. Then I said, okay, well, let me go ahead and jump on in. I'll watch episode 3 just for shits and giggles. And I'll be damned if at the end of episode 3, I wasn't looking forward to episode 4. This show that is dumb and is idiotic, and the premise is ridiculous. It's actually a pretty funny show, and it really started to find its stride in episode 3. So there's still 3 more episodes left in it, but I will tell you, like, I was shocked to actually come around and like this episode. If you haven't seen it but you're a football fan, it definitely is a show to be able to check out and watch. But I will tell you, it can be a hard watch. It's kind of ridiculous at the beginning, and the first couple episodes you really have to push through to kind of get it, because the humor in it just wasn't great. But again, episode 3 really started to find its stride, primarily once they got more into the football aspect of the show, and it wasn't just the lead up and build up of it and the Chad Powers character. So I'm looking forward to seeing what episode 3 or what episode 4, 5, and 6 has in store for us as they kind of close it out. But I wanted to throw it up on your radar. I just thought, I actually am looking forward to the next episode. So you might ask yourself, Andrew, why are we talking about Glen Powell? Andrew, why did you watch Chad Powers? Andrew, what does that have to do with the nerd fandom and the nerd culture? Well, here's what it has to do. Glen Powell recently came out and stated that he wanted to be in the live action adaptation of Expedition 33. Now, if you're like me, you had no fucking idea they wanted to make a live action movie of this. This isn't just like fan casting. This isn't just people coming out saying, oh man, this would really make a great, cinematic movie experience. Because I said that in one of my reviews so far in my daily gaming journal of Expedition 33. I was like, yeah, I think that this would make for a very good movie. I think this would be a great storyline for a movie. Had no idea they were actually in the works to do it. And Glen Powell, I don't know if it's because maybe he's a gamer, maybe he's an actor and was like, you know what, this could be a huge IP. I want to be a part of it, because quite frankly, like, even though I think he's a good actor and I really enjoy watching things that he's in, he's not in any franchises at the moment. He's got the new movie coming out, The Running Man, which actually looks pretty good. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. But he was in Twisters, which was good. If you're from Oklahoma, you probably have more of a love and appreciation for that movie than most people do. It was a good movie, but I think that ultimately him as an actor, like, he's looking for kind of a franchise to really dig himself into. This could be it. Like, an Expedition 33 live action movie could be it. Now I'm going to give you some spoiler-free reviews of where I'm at in the game so far, because I'm roughly about 50% through the game. And I will tell you this, that visually, it is one of the most stunning games I have ever played before, ever. Like, not from a graphic standpoint. It's not like the graphics are super incredible in this game, because they're good, but they're not, like, phenomenal. But the world building, the immersiveness of Lemure, and, like, where you're at and everything, like, all of it is incredible. The character designs, the creature designs, the universe itself, the way that you interact with this world, all of it is some of the best experiences I've ever had playing a video game. The storyline, however, is its real strength. Like, from the opening of the game, you're 15 minutes into the game, and you're like, what the fuck? What just happened? And as you continue to progress through the game and the storyline and the plot starts to unfold, it constantly leaves me wondering what's happening next. I've got to get back into this world. And even as I'm recording this right now, as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm forgetting all of my obligations. And I'm jumping right back into playing this game. It's a phenomenal game. This would definitely play out well in its own live action movie. But the question is, like, who would Glen Powell play? And I think there's only one right answer. Without giving any spoilers and context to this, the only person he could play would be Gustav. Like, because there is an age appropriateness to these characters, because of the storyline that you get with the game, and I don't think that he could honestly play anyone else. Like, there hasn't been a character that I've seen so far that I thought to myself, like, oh, like, yeah, if you put Glen Powell in, like, he would fit that age range, that character design, all that kind of stuff. I think it's got to be Gustav, and if it is, sign me the fuck up. Like, that is a great casting for that character. And one of the things that I think it would do is it would give us an opportunity to be able to see if Glen Powell is a dramatic actor, because we really haven't seen him in that role yet, right? Like, I know he's been in a few rom-coms, and I'll be honest, I haven't seen all of his movies. But when you're talking about this role and what you have to be in order to play Gustav, I think it would challenge him as an actor. I think it would give us an opportunity to be able to see exactly what he was made of as an actor. But here's the big question. This game just came out this year. It's not like this is a property that's been around for years and there's been more and more developed with the IP. It's only been out, like, this calendar year. So my question is like, is Hollywood really starting to take video game IP seriously, to be able to look to adapt a video game that quickly after its release? Like, in a world where movie production studios are looking for the next IP and next way to be able to capitalize, video games have always been hit and miss. I mean, you're talking about Uncharted, for example. I didn't like the Uncharted movie that they came out with. I hope that if they do a sequel, it's better. But we had to get through 4 Uncharted games before we ever got a serious movie for it. You look at Assassin's Creed. The Assassin's Creed movie was bad. I think we all can admit that. But there were several games that came out for that. God of War. We're finally getting a God of War series on Amazon, which I'm super excited for. But how many God of War games have there been? And even The Last of Us, even though we're getting the Last of Us television show, and that's been, like, the gold standard, I think, it still took a decade to get there between the games and the fact that, like, I mean, let's just be honest, like, Naughty Dog at every opportunity they have to remake the Last of Us game in some new form of fashion, like, they're doing it, but the amount of games that they've sold have been, insane. So the fact that we're jumping into an IP this shortly after the game was released, like, makes me wonder, like, what direction are they going to go for the video game genre? Or what direction are they going to go for for those kind of IPs? I'm going to put out at the first of the month, you'll see an editorial video drop where I went through for several months and took fan votes on live action casting for a Final Fantasy VII movie if they were ever to make one. Could we get that? Like, when you're talking about, because you're talking about a property like Final Fantasy, very relatable to Expedition 33 and playstyle, graphics, all that kind of stuff. But when you're talking about like a property like Final Fantasy, could we see that come to fruition? And to be honest, like, that question is just me trying to give a little bit of a shameless plug to the next video that's going to drop on the YouTube channel. So make sure to check that out. So. And guys, I appreciate you hopping in and listening. That's our show for today. Listen, if you hung around this far, whether watching the podcast or checking me out on the live stream, I honestly just want to say thank you. I know that life is super busy and things get crazy sometimes. I know it's hard to make time for the things we love. So the fact that you stuck around and took time to be able to watch my podcast, checked out my live stream, like, it truly does mean a lot to me, because I am fucking nobody. And I just love to talk about this stuff, and I appreciate you guys giving me a platform to be able to do that. So remember to like and subscribe, and even share the content to help us grow our community. And I will see you next time on the same Batmandrew, at the same Batmandrew time on the same Batmandrew channel. That was a terrible exit. All right, bye guys. But wait, there's more. So, as a post-credit closer, I am extremely excited and looking forward to the vacation that my wife and I have planned to go on in, like, 5 days. We're going on a Carnival cruise. We've been on a cruise before. We went on a cruise to Alaska on a Disney cruise. And this time, it's just she and I going on the cruise together. Looking forward to it. Extremely excited about it. And yeah, I'm going to have content coming from that. So be on the lookout. Specifically, what I'm trying to look at for content is I'm trying to look for content of things that you don't see. We've watched a ton of cruise videos in preparation for not only this cruise, but our last cruise we took. And it just seems like all the cruise videos are kind of the same. It's, here's our room tour. Here's your food. Here's what the boat looks like. Here's what you could do on excursions. And I just want to take a little bit of a different approach to that. I don't know what that approach is going to look like, but I'll have it all together and you'll see it on a future side quest episode. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And yeah, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate you.